Hey everyone, and welcome to another Planet Coaster 2 video. In this video we are talking about three big topics that haven't been confirmed or haven't been in the Gamescom build, but I do know that these three are heavy demands from the community. So those three being transfer tracks or switch tracks, the pitch black interiors, and a big surprise. By that I mean, for example, things like mini golf or parades. Now, why I am labeling this a little bit like a parade, I'll come to that in a second. But first of all, just for the context, I have basically checked out everything I could on the interwebs, and now 3 days into Gamescom, actually 4 days into Gamescom, I think everything has been spotted by now, and also including my experience of over 2 hours. Was that 2 hours, 8, 9 times? I don't know how often I played, but anyways, a lot of times I did play these 15 minutes, so I think I also mostly saw everything. As I said, I can't show you everything, you know, but I do include the footage from the live stream and the official sources of Frontier, so that you guys have all some eye candy. Let's start with the first thing, because I feel like this is the easiest, and this is going to be switch tracks. Now, why is this dude saying easy? Well, I think we have a lot of clues that switch tracks might be in. There was a bit of a rumor that this station icon could actually be the switch track icon or transfer track icon. It's not, I can confirm that, but I also find this very confusing, and I find the location very confusing, that they need a single menu for stations. That doesn't make any sense if there's not maybe more coming to that topic. So I don't know, it's weird, you know, that they have a topic only, or like a tab only for these things. It doesn't really make that much sense, because they had so many elements, like coaster elements, in that other menu. You could easily have fitted as single station in there too. That didn't make too much sense. And then we need to talk about, you know, the turntables, the different options on the coasters and rides, and obviously the lock flume lift. All these things basically scream that there is a mechanic, a different mechanic that could be something like, you know, the transfer track mechanic or a switch track mechanic. And so this is why I'm very certain we will see more like that. You know, you simply can't have a lock flume with an entire lift and a turntable and then give us an Intermin launch coaster without any customization, because basically the last couple of years we've seen so many customized Intermin coasters, also other ones, Mack rides for example, that have special coaster elements, and switch tracks at this point, or transfer tracks, are a given in coasters. So that makes me very hopeful. If they go that far to include a lift, for example, why wouldn't they do the other thing? But there's nothing confirmed, just giving you a bit of my 2 cents after this build. And we also know that this build is a very old one that they needed to get ready for Gamescom. So I'm being very positive with this topic. The other topic is a little bit of a harder one, and this is well, let's put it that way. We are a little bit fishing in the dark. Well, actually we are not, because the interiors of houses, sorry for that very poor, bad dad joke, but wasn't dark at all. I even had the feeling that there was no shading whatsoever. Maybe that is a good sign, because in all honesty, I tell you, with all my experience of so many Planet games, the lighting inside of buildings looked very odd. Very odd. Like almost as if the pieces have no real influence to the lighting. The only thing was that everything got a little bit more dimmer, if that makes sense, or a little more less saturated. But like there was no casting of shadows or anything, so that it looked very odd. I can't say this any other way. And you know, the thing is, they more than once confirmed to me that this is an old build and things will change. And so here's that. The lighting overall in this game looks so much better, but when it comes to this specific section, which is not only down to the lighting, but also how the pieces get along with lighting, I really do deeply hope that this is not the finished state of what we can expect for what lighting and other options will have, or pitch black interiors, because this is what people want. People want to build proper dark rides, and dark rides are pitch black, and these should be pitch black also in daytime, and we don't need a time machine or a sequencer. By the way, I wasn't able to check them out. I don't even know if they're in the game or in this version of the game. I simply didn't have the time to check that out. Just fully transparent with you here. But like, honestly, we need dark areas, proper dark areas. And this second point, I completely 100% agree with. For me personally, that is just my very own opinion, they are even more important than switch tracks or transfer tracks. Like, I'm not like that huge coaster nerd. Like, I am a coaster nerd, but not that huge that I need them to, you know, survive this. But like, on my list, the pitch black interiors are very, very, very high up the ranks, simply because of the area that they would open to us. Like, it's not only about dark rides, it's just about the realism in your areas, in your park. It's like about being able to have coasters go through a dark ride section, being able to have track rides going through that, you know. For example, the Ghostbusters ride we got in the last DLC of Planet Coaster 1, which was this kind of shooting ride where you could also build so many cool things, or like proper spoopy stuff and so on, you know. There is a very important bit about these things. And I genuinely hope that they have a solution for that, because in this current build, and just to say that again, it is an old build, yes, we know, but in this build, we definitely have no chance to build anything. And I'm very sorry to say, but I did try our good old test of raising terrain and having like a flat ground below that, which is pitch black. Even that doesn't work anymore, because oddly enough, within the mountain and so on, it's not pitch black anymore either. So that gives me at least hope, which again sounds odd, I know, but it gives me hope that this is really something they haven't touched upon, and they know that people want pitch black interiors. And why do I know that they know? Well, because they gave us the sequencer and the time machine simply only because of that. Like, they said, we can't fix this in this version, so we have to fix this maybe in the future. Maybe they said that because with everything else we have seen so far, this is that. So yeah, I'm really much hoping, but at this point, chances are relatively poor, I would say. Like, I don't know, I would call it 50-50 maybe, because they are never zero, but 50-50 is kind of more realistic, while transfer tax, I would say 80% plus. However, let's talk about the last point, which I labeled as surprise, and I'm gonna quickly tell you why. So, with those big 2 points kind of done, and this is my complete and very own opinion, if those 2 points would be checkboxed, I genuinely would think it is a perfect successor already. Granted, the content is enough, you know. I don't want to say specifically XYZ amount of coasters, rides, blah blah. Let's say it's just enough, then the game is great. So what I'm looking for now is, what is this one thing, next to pools obviously, that makes the game stand out over the first game? Like, we have a revolution in path, that is great, but we did obviously had path in the first game, so it's nothing new in that sense. We did have coasters in the first one that are now smoother, which is great. We have a lot of plazas, and like, the one thing I want to get across is, we need one big selling point that the first game did not have, in my opinion, to make the game really nail it. And this is why I labeled that surprises. And I've got 2 big ones in mind, which, you know, if they deliver on both of them, I guess I'll explode by hype, you know, killed by hype or so. But you know, either one of them would already be great, even though I have a favorite, which I'm gonna say afterwards. But the first one I want to talk about is parades. And parades are something that a lot of people love in theme parks, because they have become a vital part of theme parks across the world. Obviously, Disney might actually be the biggest example with like their, for me personally, the electrical parade is my favorite. I just generally love that one. It's insane what they're capable of doing, and you know, this mechanic in-game would obviously be a cool little element of the park. And also, granted, we have a new time system, that we have a full day in simulation now. It would make a lot more sense to include something like this, because you could, similarly to the educator talks and the tours we had in Planet Zoo, and this system isn't even that far off, you know. They could have now a system that whenever you have a tour at a given time, which then equals to parade, you would have the parade come through and people gather together around the main street or wherever you have planned your tour to check out this tour. So the system of educator talks or educator tours is relatively similar programming-wise to what a parade would need. So that is something I would love to see. And the second one is Minigolf. And shout out to Mr. Geekism at this point, because he reminded me of this existence, despite the fact Lady actually built an entire Minigolf in Koali. I just completely forgot about that. I should know better with a little toddler at home, but hey, who am I? My brain is becoming, is actually getting at my age. Dang it. Now, Minigolf obviously is super cool as a little element for smaller fans of the genre, because like they would love to go at Minigolf courses too, and have something like that in a theme park would also be lovely. And there are quite some theme parks out there that feature a Minigolf course of whatever sense, you know, that I really love the idea of having them in because of the versatility and the difference in attractions that you can put into your parks. And this is why Minigolf for me personally would be the favorite over those two. As much as I like parades, I think Minigolf for me personally would add more of a realism aspect in regards to the best kind of theme parks. And yeah, that's about the surprises. A couple of honorable mentions for me. I don't want to pack them into the whole video because they're not as important as those big three ones, and they don't fit into the surprises because they have been there already in another form. But restaurants and hotels for me are also super vital, but I could totally live with getting them later on as a wonderful free update or with a new brand via DLC or so, and then properly done. Granted, I would love the restaurant feature from Planet Zoo. They could literally take this one and bring this into Planet Coaster 2 because I like the way it works. I am totally fine with people beaming up onto these chairs and so on. It's fine if they don't go there because that gives us more freedom to even have some floaty platforms maybe in the pools where they can sit, or like for those of you who do know Pirates of the Caribbean in Disneyland Paris, where the whole ride goes through a restaurant and you have that tiny bridge crossing over, and you have people sitting literally inside of the ride, which is so cool. And that would be lovely, and with this system would be easily doable without even having the hassle to put a path there or whatnot. So that's something I definitely would love to see. And in regards to hotels, having resorts now and so on would make the hotels a lot more usable and, you know, kind of necessary almost. But the realization they had in the first game, I totally don't like. I just really dislike. It was just a couple of boxes and spawners, which didn't really serve the idea of a hotel. And honestly, that was also down to the fact that the game with its monthly time-based system doesn't really work together with the idea of a proper hotel, because you would have a hotel to make people spend more time in your park and hence spend more money for the tickets to being able to go to the park multiple times, or to be able to go to a dedicated water park and a dedicated theme park in that sense. I would like to see that either properly done or left out, because not just like a hybrid between those two, just like give us later to us, that would be fine. But yeah, so that's that for this video, and I really hope you found these 3 points interesting enough to, you know, now jump into the comments and keep it coming. Let me know what you think is most important for you, and what would be a surprise for you that you would buy in, because like 1 and 2 for me personally, I do know from the comments that they are super important for you guys out there, and they have been amongst the biggest requests for the game, so they are a no-brainer. But regarding the surprises, what would you love to see? Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully we talk soon again, because that will mean we have new content, and I can't wait to have a look at new content with you guys together. Thank you so much, and goodbye.